Thank you, John. Hi, I'm Hannah Telfer. I head up the consumer and digital teams at Penguin Random House in the UK. And today I'm speaking from the perspective of consumer book publishing, and I want to cover three main areas. I want to touch briefly on how consumer publishing has managed the digital transition to date. I want to focus on the questions that I think we should be paying attention to right now. And I've also been asked to share a little of what we're doing at Penguin Random House in the UK. And I'm going to use Alice's Adventures in Wonderland as our guide. So do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? Take the blue pill and this story ends. You wake up in bed and believe whatever you want to believe. Or take the red pill and come with me down the rabbit hole. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was published in 1865, and it's delighted children and adults alike for 150 years now. From the very first edition of Alice in Wonderland, where text and illustration were integrated like never before to create a new type of reading experience, Alice has been the muse for much experimentation. The book is famously surreal. It plays with logic, it's not straightforward, and neither is the publishing industry today. If we look at all the versions of Alice available today, we see the diversity of cultural entities it has spawned. Multiple formats of the original book itself in print, ebook, and audio from many publishers, several film versions, and apps. Alice is the inspiration too for increasingly imaginative live events. In this anniversary year, we have David Albarn's new musical Wonderland, and Macmillan, the original publisher of Alice, partnering with the South Bank Centre on an immersive theatre production for children. Today's reader and cultural participant, today's Alice, is overloaded with opportunities to drink in the story, rendered in various traditional and increasingly less traditional ways, made possible by technology and accessed and paid for, or not, in a multitude of ways. This is still very new. The pace of cultural diversification like this has increased hugely in the last 10 years. Only 6 years ago, 100% of our turnover at Penguin Random House came from physical books or rights related to physical books. Today, around 25% of our revenue comes from digital sources, predominantly ebooks. The digital era is the white rabbit, racing to some unknown destination in some hurry. I'm late, I'm late. How could we not be swept down the rabbit hole? But whilst the digital transformation of the consumer book industry, of the consumer book market has been challenging and at times downright worrying, it's always been exciting. Perhaps what's interesting is not whether we were too slow or, God forbid, too fast, but how our time seemed to come right on schedule. Other industries envy the robustness of our physical product, and I know a lot of this audience comes from Europe, where the digital transformation is now very much underway and book and library culture are ballasted by government. With the advent of digital, we've ushered in a new medium for us to work with and into with new tools. We're able to digitise our processes from manuscript through to digital printing and to ebook publishing. We have different formats and new distribution channels. And we have a proliferation of marketing opportunities, giving us valuable access, direct access to consumers, and ways to open up the content of the books we publish. There are numerous different models through which writers can fund their work, and many different partnerships have been formed. We've invested in new skills, from pricing and digital marketing analytics, consumer insight, metadata, content production, developers and website editors, and we're increasingly investing in the importance of visual and video content. But the digital landscape is also a rich source of new content, with some of the biggest bestsellers in the UK in the last few months coming from talent built on digital platforms such as YouTube and Instagram. These audiences actually crave a physical connection to the otherwise intangible objects of their affection. But most importantly, the value of our content is without question. It's been proven just how important books are as the catalyst for limitless creativity in many forms. Even the brightest new devices and platforms are empty vessels without the stories, games, films, TV and conversations our authors create and provoke. that we help shape and that we invest in. Digital has driven further creativity. Atomic Antelope launched Alice for the iPad back in 2010, generating both rapturous reviews and horror at the potential future state of reading. App makers are the hatters of this new world, this particularly chaotic tea party we call the book industry. Disney and Nintendo have published games allowing players to guide Alice through the stories, mysteries, and interact with a diverse cast of characters. And last month at Penguin Random House, we published a new digital audio edition of Alice in Wonderland, read by Sheridan Smith, who voiced a Duchess who almost certainly channeled Maggie Smith from Downton Abbey. And the digital experimentation will continue when the Story Museum in Oxford run their Down the Rabbit Hole themed digital hack event in June this year. When we bring the possibilities of digital together with stories and partner with the technology companies, a creative wonderland emerges, and it's one I believe will underpin the relevancy of storytelling and reading for future generations. Welcome, therefore, to the new normal. It gets curiouser and curiouser. But whilst I believe our transition has been successful so far, this is no time for complacency. We face real challenges in our industry. There are multiple rabbit holes we can go down, and we must think carefully about the steps we take next and their potential long-term impact. At Penguin Random House, we pay attention to 3 questions. How do we get noticed? How do we get paid? And attendant to both is the core question. How do we choose and publish the very best authors we can? How do we get noticed? This isn't a new question. It's well recognised that attention spans are dropping, that consumers have many ways they can spend their time. As publishers, we've proved ourselves adaptable. But we must remain alert to how digital continues to influence consumer behaviour. The retail calendar is changing. In December 2014, we had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and even Panic Saturday. The huge scale and success of Black Friday promotions affected trading for the following 3 weeks. The shift to purchasing online at Christmas meant John Lewis, the UK's seasonal bellwether, experienced flat year-on-year growth footfall in store, but sales were bolstered overall by the growth in online. We'll have to be even more adept at online marketing to make sure books remain part of the Christmas gift mix. The path to purchase is not linear. Online and in-store frequently has a cyclical relationship. Devices drive people in store and vice versa. Beacon technology and experiments with augmented reality in retail reinforce this dynamic. The social platforms we all visit are investing heavily to provide advertisers with powerful targeting tools. Both Pinterest and Instagram have new native advertising available, and Google are looking at integrating Twitter's social data into their search results. And consumer behaviour is increasingly mobile. 38% of our daily media interactions occur on a smartphone, and Enders recently reported that 90% of this time is spent in apps. To get noticed, we must continually invest in the expertise to understand different audiences and how to reach them. And I'm fortunate to work with a team that's passionate, diverse, multi-skilled and curious. Many of my team comes from a purely digital background. Some have grown up in publishing, and they complement each other brilliantly. We don't find it hard to hire new digital experts when we want to. Publishing is an attractive industry to work in. It's a privilege to be part of it. But we don't want to be complacent. At Penguin Random House, we recently launched the scheme, designed to attract the brightest new marketing talent. But we also recognise that our challenge has evolved. Our challenge now is keeping the digital experts expert, and to keep the experts in our publishing divisions as well informed as they can be, so they're equipped to make the best commissioning decisions. The digital publishing marketing tea party is all inclusive and everyone is invited. The gut of an editor has assimilated a huge amount of data and experience, and there's a notable change in daily conversations where we all interrogate which audiences we're trying to reach, what we can provide that these audiences want, or maybe what they don't know they want. Our cultures now must allow people to learn whilst they work, and make sure their skills keep apace with contemporaries in purely digital organisations. The advantage our industry has is it's been subject to change throughout the 500 years the Frankfurt Book Fair has been going. Disruption is a state of being. Perhaps this is because publishing has not always been the most strategic of industries, but is fast becoming so. Less a bottle on the digital stream, not Alice swimming through her own tears. This brings us to the second question: how do we get paid? It's pretty obvious to state that the decisions we make today about new business models, the nature of our trading relationships, and how we price our content will impact the long-term sustainability and value of publishing. It was true of the abolition of the Net Book Agreement in 1997, and it's true today. Copyright is the glue that holds consumer publishing together. Copyright ensures our authors are rewarded, that publishers can invest in new content, and that consumers can consume quality writing. We must fight to protect it, and the best way to do that is to make the most of it, to be as creative and multifaceted in its use, working with authors and their representatives. At Penguin Random House, we will work in partnership with retailers and deal with the cards played to us. We want to support diversity in book retailing. This is the best way to reach the many different readers that are important to us. Retail is not one size fits all. We must remain curious about new business models and experiment where we can. In the last 6 months alone at Penguin Random House, we've signed a partnership with Unbound, launched Pelican Books, a browser-based reader, ran Your Fry, a global digital storytelling project that opened up Stephen Fry's work to hugely imaginative new formats. We've launched a Roald Dahl audio app in partnership with Ford that incorporates their in-car voice activation controls. And from the White Rabbit to Peter Rabbit, at Penguin Ventures, we're also brand owners. We own all IP rights to Peter Rabbit. We invested in a new animated series, and that's just been screened on Chinese state television, meaning a whole new market and generation are hearing Peter speak Cantonese. And we've recently announced a 19-date tour with Dan and Phil, the YouTube sensations that eBay publish in October. This tour has driven the book to #1 on Amazon on pre-orders already. We experiment and we learn, and we do so to add value to our business and to our authors. But we also must be mindful of the potential impacts. We should not pull the tablecloth out from under the value that we're able to capture for our authors in the name of experimentation alone. The velocity of digital change and the challenges we continue to debate pose interesting questions for us all about the role and purpose we play in connecting authors to readers. And in response, many of us have adapted and evolved our businesses. And this brings me to the final part of my talk today, where I'm going to share a little of what we're working on at Penguin Random House in the UK. We believe a clear purpose is vital for the long-term success of our business. We are not a technology company and we are not a retailer. Our purpose is simple yet ambitious. We publish the very best books from the best writers and connect those books to as many people as possible. One of the ways we're doing this is by focusing on our consumer strategy, which is designed to answer the question of how do we get noticed. Simply put, it's an ABC. Our consumer strategy is designed to support our primary focus, to grow awareness of our authors and strengthen the bonds between them and their audiences. We are obsessed by these bonds because they drive purchase and advocacy. And with Penguin, we're in the privileged position of owning the best-loved publishing brand with the highest consumer recognition. We intend to invest in the Penguin brand and grow its value because we believe a high-quality, trusted, curator brand will help us capture the attention of readers for our authors. And Amazon has taught us the importance of thinking consumer first. We continue to strengthen the consumer-focused culture at Penguin Random House to better inform every step of the publishing process. So Penguin will be our focused consumer brand, and it's going to be working on behalf of the whole of Penguin Random House. And whilst Penguin talks on behalf of all of our businesses, Ladybird and Puffin are the perfect consumer brands through which we can reach parents and children. All of our consumer brands connect. This is incredibly powerful. Think about the power of CBBC and the BBC as trusted consumer brands. And that's influenced how we think about our website strategy. There'll be 2 sites, a Penguin Random House company website and a Penguin branded consumer website. The company website will give a flavour of all of our divisions and our imprints and our publishers for our business audiences, such as future authors, agents and employees. Our Penguin branded consumer website will be focused on our authors and our consumer brands. And for the first time, we'll include Ladybird and Puffin. Again, think of the BBC model. Part of this investment is to ensure that we can deliver the best possible mobile experience. And our development team are moving to agile development, and we're focused on continuous development and rapid experimentation. We launch later this year. But this is not simply a website strategy or even a digital strategy. It's a consumer strategy from the publishing brand that 99% of book buyers actually recognise. We're ambitious about what the Penguin brand can be in the future, but most importantly, we are ambitious about what we can do to grow the profile and sales of our authors. We're not done experimenting. Our risk-taking is far from over. We'll continue to innovate in everything that we do, and much work is underway. So, on the eve of this London Book Fair, I believe many of us are in the next stage of our evolution, one where we're confident about the purpose of our businesses, feel emboldened by what we have learned, and are excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. Many independent bookshops, publishers, and self-published authors are demonstrating their ability to thrive when they're small. And at Penguin Random House, we're showing we can thrive when we're big. We care for authors on an individual level. We nurture new talent responsibly and successfully, as our track record demonstrates, and we partner with many. But most importantly, we all take readers through the physical and digital wonderland that is stories, and ensure that everybody can revel in its delights. Thank you.